Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.
Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series.
Hello, Adam. You've got a little sippy drink there.
Hello. Yeah, it's coffee.
Oh my God, wait, before I forget to mention this is a genuine organic thought. No, this is about the drink that you were just drinking. So did you read the group chat pod? You guys always talk about drinks from McDonald's and how they're better.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for whatever reason, I've never done a direct comparison of like a McDonald's drink to just like a regular one or like a can or whatever. Because I am team can for like most soda. But then recently when we've been going to McDonald's, I always get the McDonald's Sprite. That is the best Sprite.
Electric, yeah.
To ever exist. It is so much better than any other Sprite. Why? Did you guys ever find out like exactly why it's better? They have like a secret formula?
McDonald's has... So normally in fountain drinks, it is you have like the mix and then you have like a soda stream and then it funnels together in the fountain. McDonald's has an exclusive deal with Coca-Cola that they get it like funnel. It's all pre-mixed and ready to go. So it like comes out pre-done.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like the perfect combination of both. Mm-hmm. Oh, well that makes sense because I was like sipping on it being like, oh my God, why is this so good? Like I just could not get over it.
I've also talked about how their straws are like perfectly sized. There, it's like it gives you just enough bubbles, so it's like, ooh,
yes,
yeah, it's great.
Exactly, yeah.
How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
Yeah, just chilling.
We're good.
Okay, that's great. Enough chit chat. This week we read chapter 22 called St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries. Just a short little title, you know. Adam, what happens in this chapter?
Harry, they visit Arthur after he is admitted to the hospital from the snake bite.
Maybe mention something about Dumbledore.
I guess they talked to Dumbledore for the first time this whole book. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Done.
So the chapter starts, and McGonagall is taking Harry and Ron to Dumbledore's office.
Right.
And they're walking down the hall, and Harry is like, we are walking so slowly to this man's office.
Yeah, no one is feeling the urgency.
No. And I'm sure they're walking faster maybe than he thinks they are, but like when time is of the essence, all you want to do is like run. Maybe cell phones would be helpful in the wizarding world.
In this situation, yes.
Yeah.
Why there wasn't a...
Although Fox is a texter. Fox is a cell phone.
Yeah. McGonagall could have sent her Patronus, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if she like believes him though yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they get to Dumbledore's gargoyle. The password is Fizzing Whizbee. Just
Can't
a fun
steal a
little
candy. Moving forward with the candies.
Update, yeah. And they walk in. Before they walk in, they hear a din of voices in the room. And Harry's like, there must be a bunch of people in the headmaster's office. But they walk in.
There's a party in there,
Suddenly
apparently.
It's silent, and Dumbledore is by himself. And he greets them by saying, oh, Professor McGonagall. If he thinks she's walking in alone, why would he call her Professor McGonagall? You're friends, guys.
He calls her Minerva in every other setting.
I know. It just threw me off because I was like, you don't know that the boys are with you. So it was weird to me that he was like, oh, Professor McGonagall. That'd be if I was like, hello, Mrs. Lee.
I mean, maybe he knew there was someone else with her, but couldn't quite see. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, he still should call her Minerva, even if there is someone else there.
You're friends.
Yeah.
You're literally best friends, allegedly.
Yeah.
So McGonagall starts to try to explain what happened. She's like, so Harry was having a nightmare. And Harry's like, how dare you? It's not a nightmare.
It wasn't a nightmare for the 10th time.
Yeah, no one is listening to me. And she's like, fine, you explain it.
She just doesn't say, she's like silent. She's just like, okay, go ahead. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what she said?
Yeah. And then, so he's like, okay, so technically I was dreaming, but I had like a vision during my dream where the snake, blah, 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 I saw him get attacked by the
blah,
snake.
blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. He tells the story of what we talked about last chapter. And Dumbledore, and this is I noted this for Ari specifically, Dumbledore is not making eye contact with Harry. He is staring at his interlocked fingers.
So rude!
Not an active listener, Albus Dumbledore.
How do you know someone's listening to you? If you're a woman, if you were listening to a woman in your life, look her in the eyes. Please. At least check in with her. At least do a little like, yeah.
Check in. Do a check-in. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of Harry's story, Dumbledore is like, where did you see this from? And he was like, in my head? And he was like, no. Listen to the question. What was your vantage point during this? And he was like, oh, I was the snake. To which Ron is like, horrified.
Yeah.
So then immediately Dumbledore calls out to two of the former headmasters on the portraits, Everard.
Great name.
And Dillis.
Also great name. And historically, all the headmasters are snoozing in their portraits. They're always asleep. Yeah. But during this whole situation, Harry has noticed that like when he's not exactly looking at him, they're like glancing. Yeah. They're doing one of these. Yeah. And so he calls out to Everard and Dillis, and he was like, were you listening? And Dillis goes, naturally, which I thought was very funny. So he asks them to go to wherever. So Everard, they have to go check the locations of where they go. Dumbledore is like an expert in speaking in this way, of just being like, go to that place you must go. And they're like, got it.
Yeah. I'm more impressed, I guess, if they only have one other portrait.
They only have one, probably. Yeah,
I guess it's like,
gotta
okay,
be the only other one. Yeah.
But it's more impressive to me that he remembers where everybody's other portrait is.
Yeah, Dumbledore? Yeah. He's got that memorized somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to ask questions about paintings.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to do this.
That's what we do, Adam. That's literally why this podcast exists. Don't be sorry.
I'm going to stick to the realm of portraiture. I am not going to include photographs in this. I think photographs are a different beast that I'm not going to talk about right now. If there is one portrait of a person, does that mean that there's only ever that one person in a portrait? So there could be like 10 portraits, but there's only one of them ever that exists? Or is it because it's the same portrait? Like they made 2 editions of the same painting, that's why there's only one person that goes between. It's not like each portrait has their own Dillis. There's one Dillis, but there's 2 portraits.
Right.
Is it because it's the same portrait, or is it because painting is different and there's only, in the painting world, there's one version of that?
I see what you're saying. You're saying, like, let's say, like, this one artist commissioned, like, 3 paintings of the same person. Is it just that one person going back and forth through the...
That's my question.
Well, that's why it's kind of weird to me because that means, like, that woman's painting must be empty at St. Mungo's, like, all the time if she's, like, helping Albus. Because I'm like, there have to be more than one painting of many people, and then if there is just one painting,
but also like they traditionally at Hogwarts, when a painting leaves its painting, when a subject leaves its painting, it walks into the painting next to it.
Yeah.
It like walks painting to painting.
Yeah.
But in this version, because there is like a doubled, I'm assuming it's the same exact portrait at both places. That's my guess. So because of that, they can like leave, but it also interacts within the other paintings, because I think Everard says that he like went to another person's painting to watch them take him up the stairs or something like that.
Right.
So it still it does both. It can interact with the paintings in the building around.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm crazy talking about this.
Are you just asking like if they're in another painting, then they can move the same way throughout Hogwarts as in like the Minister of Magic? He can also move through.
Yeah.
All the
I'm assuming they all the.
Yeah. I think it's the same. Just gonna squeeze by you there.
Squeeze right by you.
Sorry.
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 So anyway, this is fun. I actually like this. I like the idea that like if you have two of the same portrait, they can just like float between. Which obviously we'd kind of alluded to at the beginning of this book, Grimmauld Place, but we weren't able to actually really talk about it yet because we didn't understand the voiceless painting in the
right. Yeah, that's when this is the chapter that we learn who that is actually.
So again, all the other headmasters, like while this all is going on, McGonagall has drawn up some chairs because it's going to be a few minutes before they're back with news. Mm-hmm. So all the other headmasters are doing like
again,
yeah, it's great.
I love how our impression was like exactly the same.
Yeah.
A mouth agape.
He goes over to he being Dumbledore, goes over to Fawkes. And all he says is, "We will need a warning." And then Fawkes bursts into a flame and disappears. Fawkes is a drag queen. This is canonical. There is no way. Like, this is the most ridiculous, dramatic entrance exit. All of Fawkes' interactions in this chapter are just like, Slay!
Fawkes is like the most queer pet you can have in the wizarding world, too. So, of course. Albus has.
Yeah.
It's Fawkes.
So then Dumbledore goes to this silver machine thing contraption.
Yeah, I don't know what this was supposed to be, and I don't think it ever comes back.
No, it never is explained. Ever. It's a machine where steam comes out of it, and then it turns into the image of a snake. And then there's two snakes coiled in and around each other. And then that's it. And this gives Dumbledore some information. And we will never know what that information is.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this. So is this him figuring out the Horcruxes? Is that what this is? That's the only thing it could be in my mind, is the Horcruxes.
But what is it? What is it confirming that Harry has not already just confirmed in his story? Do you know what I mean?
I just think that that because Harry might be a Horcrux, he's connecting with the other snake.
But there's only one snake.
No, I know. I think the snake is just representing the soul being separated.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So, that was my guess. I was like, that's the only thing I can imagine it being. So, I don't know.
Well, we don't know. We'll never know.
I think it's purposefully left that you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what that was.
Yeah. But usually she leaves stuff like this, and then later it will come back. And this chapter, there are multiple things in this chapter that are not explained. Yes. And do you know what the second? We're not even there yet. Well, I'll wait. Maybe I don't. So, what was his name? Evermore.
Everard. Evermore. That's that song from the live action Beauty and the Beast, Adam.
Folklore and Evermore come back.
Folklore. Oh no, this is another pepperoni situation. I love it.
Everard comes back and he's like, so I was screaming for someone to come. I told them that I had heard commotion downstairs. They didn't believe me, but they went to go check. And then a few minutes later, I saw him get taken out, covered in blood.
Right. So they said originally, like Dumbledore was like, we need to make sure the right people find him. It doesn't sound like those were like Order of the Phoenix people. Who went and got him?
I don't know.
Just some random people working at the ministry? Isn't that like exactly what you didn't want to happen?
Unless he means like...
Oh, the Death Eaters. Yeah, maybe
Eaters.
he meant... Yeah, okay, maybe we'll go with that. That makes more sense. Yeah, because I thought it was just like Fudge and Umbridge's little gang that they were worried about. But yeah, it probably is...
Umbridge.
Voldemort and his people.
So... With this news, it has obviously been confirmed that Arthur is unwell. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And
which poor Ron. Did that make you sad?
Could you imagine? He's so silent during this whole chapter. It's like very unnerving. It's that feeling of like, even when you find out someone's like been in a car accident or something, and there's just like, there's such like a helplessness that you feel of like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
He tells Minerva to go wake the other Weasleys and bring them to the headmaster's office.
Right, because they got to get them out.
Right. And then Minerva asks about Molly, and he references like she might already know because of the incredible clock that she has, meaning the clock that we are familiar with from book 2.
Yeah.
Where Arthur's hand is probably on mortal peril.
Minus the fact that it is the middle of the night, though, which I think Harry mentions.
Yeah. But we don't know. Maybe her clock chimes on mortal peril.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like...
Bong, 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 bong. Oh my God. That would be the worst. I would be like, no, we're not having that clock, actually. Definitely not. That's
it's not worth
it.
So then he calls to Phineas. This is Phineas Nigellus, who is pretending to be asleep. But, like, actively, like, he is, like, going for the Oscar for being asleep.
Why? I could have done without this. I was just like, all right.
And so he says, I need you... First of all the other headmasters, like...
Are yelling at him.
Help him wake him up, which is very funny.
I did like that bit. I did like that all the headmasters and headmistresses are like...
Yelling.
We're gonna get you.
Yeah. Clearly, nobody likes Phineas Nigellus.
No, yeah. He's the outcast.
So he says to him, he asks him to go to his other portrait, which we realize is in Grimmauld Place. It's in Harry's bedroom, and tell Sirius about what has happened. And Phineas is like, no, I'm so tired. You are a painting. You are
what
not.
What have you been doing in there?
What are you talking about? You're not a real person. You don't need to eat. You don't need to sleep. What are you talking
you
about?
You don't need to eat. Yeah, can they eat? Do they go to the bathroom? What do portraits do?
It always comes back to bathrooms.
It comes back to the
us.
bathroom, yeah. We just always want to know.
Sir, if you don't wake up and go to your other portrait, which is just moving from one frame to another, because I'm assuming in like
there's
the
like
portrait world,
tunnel.
It's just right there.
It has to be. You just go into the tunnel, basically.
So stupid. But then they convince him, so he leaves. Okay, so then he says that he's going to send... Minerva comes back with Fred and George and Ginny.
Yeah.
And he says that... Dumbledore says that he's going to send them to Grimmauld Place instead of the Burrow because Grimmauld Place is obviously going to be closer to St. Mungo's.
Because it's in London, correct?
Yes. During this, I guess I forgot to write it down, but Dilys recounts that he was admitted.
Yeah, he saw them bring them in.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Is Dilys a woman?
Yes. She's a witch.
You said he saw them bring them in.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I was like. She, her, hers, Adam.
She, her, hers saw he, him, his get admitted.
Yeah, there we go.
So then right before Fox sends a warning, and it's just a feather. It's just a feather.
Once again, drag queen behavior.
Big drag queen behavior. Just send a feather. Yeah. That Professor Umbridge... This is a lot to read into from a feather, by the way. There's no note with this information.
This is what I'm saying. This is the same as him just being like, go to that one place that I've told you to go. It's like, we need a warning. And Fox is just like, got it.
Understood. They've practiced this so many times. This exact scenario. He's like, okay, so Fox, what if during the night, one night, Arthur Weasley is found bitten by a snake because Harry Potter had a vision? We're going to enact this scenario. And so then when it happens, Fox is like, I can't believe this. My time has come.
I just want to say that Friedrich kicked the pillow off of the couch. I watched him do it. And it's so funny when he does that.
Anyway, Fox sends this feather and Dumbledore is like, oh, so Umbridge knows you're out of bed. Minerva, go off to get her from finding out.
Yeah, cut her off. Cut her off.
Is Christmas break starting tomorrow?
I don't remember.
This is the problem with this whole scenario is like they just go straight into like Christmas break from this point.
Yeah, they're like going home a little bit early.
I have to imagine that there would be questions as to where the Weasleys and Harry Potter went.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially from, I don't know, Hermione Granger.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. Hermione's going to be like, where
hello?
are my friends? Hermione's eating with Neville the next day.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's ever resolved, and maybe we'll find out later, but I don't think we do. As to like what the lie was as to how the Weasleys and Harry left early. Anyway. So we realize that Dumbledore has put a spell on a tea kettle that he had in his office, and we didn't know what it was. At first when I was reading it, I was like, oh, is he making tea? Because it like turns blue, so I thought it was like being heated or something. But no, he turned it into a port key. So he sends them via the port key to Grimmauld Place. But while they're about to like be sent, Harry's touching the tea kettle, and he has a huge surge of anger course through his body, and he felt as though he wanted to bite specifically Dumbledore. And then in that exact moment is when the port key is like, shoo.
Let's talk about this.
Is this the other one that you wanted to talk about?
This is the other one.
Okay.
This doesn't ever get explained. Harry feels like a snake that wants to bite him. It's not Harry felt like anger because or felt this hatred towards Dumbledore in like a human sense. It sounds like it's like animalistic.
Right. My question is like, are the Horcruxes all able to feel different aspects of each other, but only because the snake is the only other one that's like a living being? That's why there's like a connection there.
That's the part. So like, this is making me think back actually to book 4, where like she could have used Nagini as his focal point and she didn't. So like now this is like the second time that something's happened, but this time it does make sense in terms of like the Horcruxes situation of it was physically the snake. We're pretty sure in book 4 it wasn't the snake and it wasn't a smoke Voldemort.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't. And so we're like, okay, well then
Harry was like astral
floating.
Projected into the room. Yeah.
Which someone could say maybe because Voldemort didn't really have a form. I guess
corporeal, yeah.
Maybe, but like I don't really believe that. Like if he's having this with the snake, then it would have made sense to just have him be from Nagini's perspective. Whatever,
also,
anyway.
Voldemort did have a form because he did have.
Yeah, he was like. That's true. He was like fetus.
He was like baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was baby.
Baby was baby. Baby Voldy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, so that was weird. But then this situation, I hope, as I always say, I hope that I'm proven wrong.
Yeah.
And this is like, at the end of the book, Dumbledore does explain this. And then we're like, oh, okay, got it. But I really don't believe he does. I think we get an explanation of like his connection to Voldemort specifically.
Right.
But the snake, no. I didn't even remember that it was the snake's rage he was feeling. I thought that it was Voldemort's rage, which I still would have had questions about. Because I'm like, well, how is Voldemort seeing Dumbledore through Harry's eyes, because then he is possessing him. Like, he would be. Or at least, like, utilizing that connection to see where he is. Which I don't think happens any other time, because when he shows Harry the vision of Sirius, it's a fabricated thing. It's not like Voldemort going into Harry's eyes to see what Harry's seeing. Like, he never does that.
Right.
So it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And also, would the snake be able to see through Harry's eyes? No. At least we don't have any reason to believe that, and it never happens again.
Well, if the snake can see, if Harry can see through the snake's eyes, then it does stand to reason that the snake could see, potentially see through Harry's eyes
without realizing.
Right.
Maybe but then because they had a connection.
But yeah, it is weird that it never happens again. But I also don't think he ever has another vision through Nagini's eyes ever again either.
Is that true? Yeah, one is through Voldemort. I think they all are through Voldemort.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
This is a one-off. Could you imagine if Harry saw through, like, the diadem and he was just like, just still?
The cup.
The cup.
Wait, what else? The locket.
Yeah. Like, closed.
No. What? Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so they get to Grimmauld Place, and Sirius is like, I heard what happened. What are you able to, like, tell us? Because he obviously, Fred, George, and Ginny haven't heard the story. So Harry tells the story again, except this time he purposefully leaves off the detail that he was the snake biting their father and nearly killing him.
Yeah, and Ron's like...
Yeah. And then Fred and George, as soon as this information is revealed, Fred and George are like, we have to go to St. Mungo's right now.
Yeah.
And Sirius is like, you cannot go to St. Mungo's right now. Your mother doesn't even know. How the fuck do you know? And they're like, it doesn't matter how we know. We have to see our father. The argument I wanted him to use is like, what would you do that St. Mungo's is unable to do at this point in time? Your father was bitten by a snake. You don't need to be in the room with him while he's being treated. This is the equivalent of being like, are you going to go into surgery? Like, what are you going to do? I understand you're frustrated, but like, it's not even about like who knows what at this point. It's about like you have no capacity to help in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then the conversation, and like they continue down this path, and Sirius is like, your father knew the risks of being in the Order of the Phoenix. He knew he might have to give his life for this. And Fred is like, well, I don't see you out there risking your life like the other members of the Order. And Sirius...
This is also when he says the whole, like, some things are worth dying for, which is such, like, a Gryffindor thing to say, I just want to say. Yeah. But I was like, maybe don't say that to the kids when, like, they're dead. Like, I just was like, oh, my God.
Who is this helping Sirius? Who is this helping right now?
Yeah, I was like, can we not say that right now? Like, ugh. But we've gone down this road before that Sirius doesn't have the best, like, he doesn't converse very well with kids.
Right.
Teenagers, like.
Right.
It's not the best.
So with this retort, Sirius is like, we just need to stay here. He luckily doesn't go off.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to smack him.
Yeah. But he's just like, we just need to stay here until we hear otherwise.
Yeah.
And so they sit down, and he accios some butterbeer over. So they all have some butterbeer while they wait. And no one is talking for hours. It is silent.
It's very tense. Yeah.
Also, I just like I'm imagining just this moment, which is already a tense moment, and then you're in like dusty, drafty, ugly fucking Grimmauld Place. And there's like the big black family tree on the wall.
I
like,
know.
blah, blah, blah,
yeah. And those like dusty old curtains, like the
dusty,
troll,
musty,
the
and
troll
crusty
leg umbrella
the
stand.
heads on the wall.
The heads on the wall. Ooh, we should have started there, girl.
Mrs. Black. I was really worried that she was going to have her like start screaming for no reason. I was going to be like, please, this is not the time.
She did.
Huh?
When they first got there.
Oh, I thought that was Creature talking about them.
No, she was like, is it true? Wait, right? She was like, is it true their father's dying?
It wasn't written in all caps, so that's why I thought.
Oh, that's why. Fair enough. That tracks. That makes sense.
She's the screamer.
I think you're right. But the author, the audiobook, Jim Dale. Mm-hmm. He screamed it.
Oh.
But I think you're right that it's Creature that said it. And he just misinterpreted it.
Yeah, maybe. That's funny because so many people work on an audiobook together. So it wouldn't just be like he misinterpreted it, but everyone in the room misinterpreted it.
Yeah, because it was
But it is interesting because I thought initially I was like, why is she yelling? This is wild.
Yeah,
they haven't made noise. But then it was like the way that he like then Creature like immediately gets brushed out of the room that I was like, oh, I think it was Creature talking.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't say anything about his mother. And it said a voice somewhere close at hand, a voice said, back again, the blood traders. Is it true their father's dying? And so definitely that's Creature. That's so weird that he like
because they show up in the basement kitchen.
Yeah, in the kitchen, not the corridor.
Not the corridor, which is where she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while they wait, they do get a letter via Fox from Molly. And this is what the letter says.
Right.
Dad is still alive. I am setting out for St. Mungo's now. Stay where you are. I will send news as soon as I can, Mum. Dad is still alive. Doesn't make you feel great.
I know.
Dad's fine. Maybe would have made me feel better. Dad is still alive. Makes me feel like, oh, but this could be inevitable.
Yeah.
But hours later, she does finally get to Grimmauld Place, and she says that he is all right. She's pale. She's like been through a lot, obviously, but she says he's gonna be okay. To which everybody is like obviously very glad.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if this was book 6, I think she would have killed him.
I think that she did think about. I think she did think about killing him, and I think she did think about actually killing Ron at one point. Not in this book necessarily, but like down the line. And I was like, girl, I don't know if I would have forgiven you.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So Molly does pull Harry into a big hug. She thanks him for saving Arthur's life. If he hadn't, realized what was happening and alerted everybody, then he would probably be dead right now, and there wouldn't have been enough time to save him. Yeah. Because he would have been wherever he was. We don't know. Yeah. He would have been there for hours before someone found him.
Yeah.
That says to me that the security system at the Ministry of Magic is not very good.
Lax.
I gotta be honest. Very lax.
Girl. Yeah.
The Ministry of Magic.
Doing rounds?
Hello?
He just needs to walk around with his little baton.
Girl, if you don't put a troll in a little hat and a badge and let him rock around the corridor.
That's all you have to do. You just have to walk around there once every hour.
Or just get cameras. That would work too.
Or get cameras.
Or the magical equivalent of cameras. If there's the magical equivalent of a photograph, I refuse to believe there is not the magical equivalent of cameras.
Yeah.
Bye, girl.
I mean, Adam, you just answered the question. The portraits are the security cameras, basically. That's how they alerted.
This is so
That's how
stupid.
they alerted people that Arthur was hurt. Just a painting.
A painting. And you hope to God that they are just
painting.
watching what's going on.
It's not like an animal painting. It's not just a dog staring at you as you bleed out.
Right.
It's like rolling its ball at you to throw the ball for it as you're dying.
I do like the idea that in the Ministry of Magic, they just have a dog with a ball and a painting on the wall.
Yeah. Cute.
So Harry pulls Sirius to the side. They're going to make breakfast, but Harry pulls Sirius to the side and tells him about the actual truth was that he was the snake in the vision.
Yeah, right.
And Sirius is like, did you tell Dumbledore that? And he's like, yeah, but he didn't really say anything about it.
He didn't really react.
He didn't really
Except
talk
he did
to
this
me.
He did this weird little smoky snake thing.
Yeah. He did woo woo.
Woo woo woo.
Yeah. And then he's like, and also when we were port keying, I wanted to attack Dumbledore like a snake. And Sirius was like,
wild.
Huh?
Why?
Which was also my reaction.
Mine too.
Because I felt like the other thing too is when this happened earlier in the chapter when it was happening in the moment, it just said he looked at him and wanted to attack him, but I didn't know who him was. I mean, I guess I could have inferred that it was Dumbledore, but it wasn't like he saw Dumbledore and wanted to attack him. He was like, he looked at him and felt the need to like bite sink his fangs into his flesh. And I was like, who's he here? Sorry. Can I get a little clarity?
Well, that's weird. It's weird too, because I'm like, why is did something happen for Nagini in that moment? Like on the other end of whatever, like in Nagini's world, Nagini got mad about
sleeping?
Something. But Nagini's dreaming about biting someone.
Like when Friedrich has a dream, he's like,
yeah. Khaleesi always goes in her sleep.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Yeah, was she like having a dream and then Harry like that? It's I don't think we ever know. So that's the part that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Sirius, not very shockingly, doesn't have answers for Harry's queries.
Once again, he just like leaves.
Yes.
He just like leaves the room.
Yeah. It's like,
I was like, wow, great godfathering.
Good luck, buddy boy. See you later.
I love Sirius Black, but like he really does not. I think you're right that like him, the fact that he was in prison for like 12 years it's really affected him. Yeah.
Yeah. Arrested Development.
I think maybe. Yeah, I think I'm Team Lupin over Sirius
easily.
now. But I think but Lupin does some stuff later on that I like. Don't really like either. The Tonks situation when she gets pregnant. We'll get to it. He comes to his senses, but Harry has to kind of like call him out.
He's like worried that the kid's gonna be a werewolf, right? Something like that.
So he's like kind of essentially like alienating Tonks, basically, even though she's pregnant with his kid.
Well, we'll talk about that allegory in just a moment.
Yeah, we'll wait till we get. Yeah, we'll wait till we get to that whole other thing.
So after they all have breakfast and everybody's like calmed down, I think a little bit, they all go off to like sleep through the rest of the morning.
Ron
falls asleep immediately, and then Harry is just like,
purposefully sitting like so
sitting
he's uncomfortable.
Like all the way to his butt is against the like headboard, and it's just like, it's that meme of New York from I Love New York where she's just like
on the bed. Yeah.
Or Candy Muse alone in the VIP.
Or Gabrielle Union's baby sitting on the edge. Yeah. Any of those.
So he doesn't fall asleep because he's scared he's going to like somehow end up attacking people again. That's not really what happened, Harry. You didn't attack anyone. You were just watching while it happened. And spoiler alert, it'll never happen again. So you don't have to. You can go to sleep, babe. So then later, Tonks and Moody arrive, and Tonks is very curious about Harry's abilities. She's trying to figure out if he's like has like a seer in his line, or is it like? But also, it's weird because it's not a prophecy per se, because you're seeing something that's presently happening.
Yeah,
It's not really the same idea, but she was like, it's really cool.
Yeah, she's like, that's useful, though. And Harry's like, kill me.
Yeah.
Harry's like, get me out of this conversation as soon as possible.
So Tonks and Moody are there to be their escorts to St. Mungo's, which is located somewhere in London. They take the underground to get there. Moody, I think this is very funny, is wearing a bowler hat, but like down over one eye.
Yeah.
It's very Fosse, actually. If you
think very Fosse. Also, this is the moment that I would like to say. Obviously, this is post-pandemic that I'm saying this about living in the UK, but I fully understand why she went with the choice of just like kind of like not like a derelict building, but like a rundown building that no one will want to go into, because just in, well, I shouldn't say where I live, but in this town alone, this English town alone that I'm living in, the
Avon upon Staffordshire.
Yes, exactly. Yes, central. Just the like town center in general has so many just like big buildings that maybe are empty, maybe are not. I don't know. And I don't want to step foot in them. So like there is definitely I think just because it's like this country has just been here for so long. So some of the buildings, it's just will be like really old buildings that are just still there. They've been like somewhat refurbished, but like there's nothing really happening in them. Yeah. And so I was like, I fully believe this now. That like the leaky cauldron situation and then this, like I was like, yeah. Maybe even Hogwarts if it really looked like shitty enough. But Hogwarts, it would look like a derelict castle.
Right, so that's the problem. Is it would look like a castle still.
But it might be like hard to get there.
It actually looks
foot.
like it looks like a large apartment building that's been abandoned. Then I'd be like, oh sure, fine.
Yeah, then who would care? But maybe we'll just say that it's like impossible to get to
because it's in the Highlands.
Foot or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever. We'll go with that.
Yeah. All right.
That's
sure.
All. I believe it. You'll see what I mean when you come to visit.
So when they go to they take the underground, they go to X location. We don't know where. She doesn't really specify where in London it is.
Yeah.
But the St. Mungo's had to be a different location. It couldn't be. There wasn't enough room at Diagon Alley.
No.
And
wouldn't
which
work.
Again, like if you have spells that can just create room
it's very
out of nothing, then like
it's very
okay,
convenient.
whatever.
Plot.
The Black's house just disappears. What do you mean there was no room? What do you mean?
Into two other established houses. In between them, girl.
It pushes them out of the way. What are you talking about? There was no room. You just make room.
Yeah,
you're
you
a wizard.
When you want to. I don't know.
So there wasn't enough room in Diagon Alley. And they couldn't put it underground like the Ministry of Magic is because it was like it wouldn't be as healthy for them to be underground. They needed fresh air. Fine.
Sure.
So they show up to what looks like a big old department store.
Yeah.
And like I'm in Chicago, so I think of automatically like the Marshall Field building downtown. Like down on 6th Street.
Is it empty now?
No, it's Macy's now. But like just like a big, huge like big fucking rectangle that's just like 6 stories tall, very imposing, lots of windows. But it looks again like you were saying derelict, really run down, not like falling apart, but like you don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
And it says closed for refurbishment. And there's some muggle lady that walks by and she's like, that place is always closed.
That's never open.
And they walk up to this mannequin. Tonks walks up to this mannequin in the window and is like, we're here to see. First of all, the mannequin is on the other side of glass. So it looks like she's literally whispering through glass to a mannequin and is like, we're here to see Arthur Weasley. And Harry is like, is Tonks losing her mind?
No, but this part, the train of thought was funny that he was like, that mannequin can't hear her if she speaks that quietly.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That mannequin can't hear.
Right.
The like train of thought was so funny to me.
But also like you have been in the wizarding world now for like
at this point
5 years, Harry.
5 years,
and you're
Harry.
Still like, wow, this is how this is how magic works. What are they teaching at Hogwarts? What are they teaching? Truly, I want to know. Maybe it always happens though for Harry when they're in like an established Muggle setting, and there's and so I think he can't meld the two.
Yeah, he's back. He's like back in Muggle mindset, basically. Yeah. Muggle mindset. Hashtag Muggle mindset.
Hashtag Muggle mindset. Get out of that Muggle mindset. So she whispers to the mannequin, and then the mannequin nods and like beckons with one finger. This would be very scary to watch. I don't care how goofy it seemed. A like worn down mannequin with its eyelashes like nearly falling off.
Yeah, spooky.
Wearing like an ugly green pinafore dress. No.
What's the film with Kim Cattrall or Kim Cattrall?
Mannequin.
I don't know. It is just called Mannequin. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I was like, where's she's Mannequin? Yeah.
So they go in and they are greeted by like a big reception area. There's like a bunch of signs on the wall that like have like very standard, like, be sure to clean your cauldrons or else those potions will turn into poisons and stuff like that. And then there's like a display showing like what wing is on what level. The receptionists
very detailed.
They're not very friendly, like in, regular healthcare. The receptionists are not usually friendly either. And at this point, Harry has turned his last 2 remaining brain cells and rubbed them together. And he's like, oh, hospital. They're like doctors. And Ron is like, no, like they're not doctors, they're healers. That's what we call them.
I mean, he wouldn't know. In his defense, he
wouldn't
know
what that, but
them.
I don't understand why he was like, oh, they're doctors. Less about the terminology, but more like he was like shocked that they went to a hospital and that was what was going on there. I was like, you've heard? Okay. Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
What do you mean Saint Mungo? I have 2 questions about this.
Once again, Adam.
This is based on Christianity.
Yeah.
But there isn't a Mungo. The Mungo aspect I don't have a problem with because it's fun. But like, you're still acknowledging sainthood of some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like, there's been certain things that have been mentioned in this book where I'm like, okay, so then like they believe in Jesus? Jesus? Sorry.
The original wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
He was great at transfiguration.
Yeah, he was a transfiguration professor.
So they're healers. Fine. And then I had a thought where I was like, I guess they've only ever referred to Madame Pomfrey as Madame Pomfrey. They've never called her like a nurse. Whereas like we would say in like our school, we would say like, go see the nurse.
The school nurse, yeah.
But they never say nurse. They just say Madame Pomfrey or the hospital wing. So I guess that's why he wouldn't know healer. They walk by Dilys Derwent's portrait. Okay.
Yep, she is, our girl.
She was a...
And she's sitting there like...
Okay.
And then she like smiles at Harry. She's like...
Yeah. She is... Okay. The reception wing is like... Okay. Her portrait is in the reception area.
Yeah.
Okay. She said earlier that she watched him get brought in. He was very bloody. And they admitted him to the hospital.
Yeah.
The entrance door is just on the middle of a big street in London. So is there a secondary entrance? Like, where are they bringing in someone? Is this like what they came in through was the visitor's entrance, but there's like an ER wing that you like come through that also passes by the same area?
Yeah, we can go with that.
Or that maybe because she can also just travel through the other portraits in the hospital, I'm assuming. So maybe she just like went to where like her friend Stacy's portrait is over in the ER area.
Yeah, good old Stacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she probably just did that because there's no way that they would bring him straight off the street.
Levitating, like they used the levitation charm for like Snape in book 3. Yeah.
No way.
So they go. He's located in. There's a bunch of magical maladies happening around them. I'm not going to talk about them. Read the book.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They go to Arthur's room. He's in the first floor. He's in the like creature area, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Bites. He's in a
And
bites,
something.
Bites and bugs.
Bites, stings, bites, stings, and something else. I don't know. Sorry, listeners. Sorry, listeners. Just not even bothered enough to check. Something.
Something. Sorry. It's in the book. Read the book. So they go into Arthur's room. He's in a room with 2 other people. Yeah. It's been ages since I've visited someone in the hospital, but like I feel like the last few times I've ever visited someone, they always have a solo room. I feel like it has been years since I've visited anyone. They're like in a room with someone else.
It could be different. I mean, well, if we're going off of England, NHS, it could be different. But
yeah, for sure.
I think when Keith was in the hospital, he did mention that there was someone else in his ward, like years ago, not recently. But, I was going to say the only people I've really visited in the hospital were people that were having babies or like had a baby, so they would always be in their own room.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So these are the 2 people next to Arthur. One is a witch who had something bite her leg, and whenever they take the dressings off, it smells really bad, but she won't say what it is. So
I could have done without that.
They think it's probably like an illegal creature of some kind that she
a screw,
owns.
Adam. It's a
screw.
fucking
screw. It's a fucking screw.
A screw got into her backyard.
Stole her a screw.
Yeah.
Sold her. The other man in the room is a recent werewolf bite person.
Sad.
And Molly's initial reaction is, should he even be allowed in a public room like this? First of all, I can only imagine this is a hospital room where there are just curtains separating the 2 areas. So the man can hear you. He's right there, right? Do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I just was like, this is the prejudice of the wizarding world coming out again. Because if we're to believe that this is, in fact,
the AIDS allegory. And she's like, should he? But no, it's fine because the next full moon isn't for 2 weeks. It's fine, whatever. And then like Arthur mentions like, I know someone who lives like a really well-balanced life. He manages his stuff super fine, whatever. And then the guy, I guess, was like, I'm going to give you another bite if you don't shut the fuck up. Which I thought, I did think that was funny.
Leave him alone, yeah. Wait. I did want to say, though, before we get too far ahead.
Yeah.
When we were at the front of St. Mungo's, someone was coming to visit. I can't remember his first name. Bode?
Junie B. Jones?
Junie B. Jones. Broderick Bode. Just remember, if we remember, one time in this book, we came across Bode when Harry was at the ministry for his trial. Oh. And Bode works in the Department of Mysteries. And he's in St. Mungo's now. So just putting that out there.
He's been attacked.
Yeah. Just keep it in the back of your mind. There'll be more on him later.
Wow, Broderick. Good old Broderick Bode.
Friedrich's brother.
Yeah,
Broderick
Friedrich and Broderick. So Arthur says that he basically feels fine, but they won't let him go until he's able to take his bandages off. But anytime he tries to take them, or they try to take them off, he starts bleeding profusely, and they can't stop the bleeding. So they're trying to figure out like what Nagini. Well, we know it. You and I know it's Nagini, so we're just going to say for ease sake, whatever Nagini's situation is, that the wounds won't heal. Right. And he has to take blood replenishing potion every hour.
Yikes.
I can only imagine what that tastes like. Iron. It probably tastes like iron. Like when you lick your, like suck on a wound or whatever, and you can like taste the metallic-y.
Yeah, I was going to say like metallic.
I hate blood. I hate blood so much. Fred and George keep trying to be like, so what happened?
Yeah,
you were
in a
room with 2 people who are, I believe this is the case. At the very least, why are you doing it here? But they're fully trying to be like, tell us exactly what happened. Where were you? What were you getting?
Yeah.
What's the weapon?
You're just showing why you can't be in the order.
Yeah, you are not in the order for this reason. You are a mess. You shouldn't even know this much, to be honest.
Yeah.
So Molly's had enough. She shoos them out of the room and lets like Tonks and Moody come in.
Yeah.
And so Fred and George have their extendable ears. They did bring them.
Right.
Very smart. Mm-hmm. And they offer one to Harry as well, so he can listen in to what the conversation is. And it works, obviously, because there's been no charm put on the door, like there was at Grimmauld
Just
Place.
like the Ministry of Magic, there's no security here.
No security. I don't expect there to be high security at a hospital, though. I'll say that. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough, yeah.
So they listen to the conversation, and basically the conversation is, like, it was very lucky that Harry da-da-da. Molly makes a comment that Dumbledore seems to have been waiting for Harry to see something like this. That was the impression that she got.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't love that.
I don't love that either. No.
And then at the very end of the conversation, it's not a long conversation, but at the very end of the conversation, they do like mention the fact that Harry was in the view of the snake. They like specifically say that he could see the snake's point of view.
Yeah.
And then Moody implies that Voldemort is possessing him. And Harry like takes out the extendable ear really quick and realizes that everyone else heard it as well. And they're all just like standing there shocked.
What do you think the end of that sentence was that Moody was saying? I'm like almost so mad that we didn't get to find it out. I'm like, oh, but what did he say? I would have just kept my...
Here's the sentence. Of course he's worried, growled Moody. The boy seeing things from inside you know who's snake. Obviously, Potter doesn't realize what that means, but if you know who's possessing him, it can't be good. That's the end of the sentence.
You know who's possessing him, then...
He's got a spy on the inside.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be probably the worst.
We'll have to limit what we say around Harry.
That would be the worst thing that Moody would think, is that...
Yeah. He can see what they're talking about.
Yeah. And that's
Which is why Dumbledore hasn't been talking to Harry, because he's trying to...
suss out how much,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the chapter.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That wraps up this chapter. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 23, Christmas on the Closed Ward. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score, 5 stars only, or else you'll have to... You'll have to see. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Otherwise.
Who knows?
Hold on. Wait. I want to think of one. Hold on. Otherwise, you'll get bit by a blast-ended screw and have to tell people that you don't, or you'll have to not tell me.
Are you having a stroke? What's happening?
I literally feel like...
Do we need to admit you to St. Mungo's Mel?
I feel like the kid that's like, have you ever had a dream that you
okay. I'll put that clip in.
I literally feel like that child.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
You'll get bit by a blast-ended screw, but won't be able to tell them that's what in fact bit you because it's not a legal animal in the wizarding world.
Yeah.
Not a legal beast, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HPAnxious or YouTube and TikTok at the Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them, and are a proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Ari.
And as always, Knox.